Hello, Matt Osborne here. Thanks for tuning in. A short video to show you my new current favourite camera. It's not really a new camera. This is an analog 35mm film camera released in 1999 and it went on until 2003. I'll show you the camera up close better in more detail in a second. But this is amazing. You wouldn't think it, because if you look at it on paper, you'd think it's only kind of half a camera, so why would you buy it? Coming from Leica cameras, Voigtlanders are often thought as like a poor man's Leica, but I actually prefer this to many of my Leica cameras at the moment. There is a good reason, and there's a good reason why I bought this. The main reason for buying this camera is because it weighs absolutely nothing. To be more precise, I think it's 380 grams. I think that's right. I'll correct it above if it's I think it's 380 without a lens. Now, if you compare that to, say, a Leica M3, I don't have one next to me. I think a Leica M3 is 580 grams. Now, there is a trade-off where, generally speaking, if something is better built, it tends to be heavier, which I would agree with. But for my very kind of unique need, as I would call it, I'm looking for a light camera because I want to travel with it for running and for cycling. Mostly, if I'm hiking, it doesn't really matter. You can carry a 4x5 camera and it's not really an issue. And obviously an issue when I walk 100 miles, and then it might be more of an issue. For me personally, I want to be able to put this into my hydration vest pocket or into the belt that I wear around my waist. For this reason, I need a light enough camera so the weight doesn't make it jump up and down, meaning it's kind of uncomfortable to use. So this is why I was trying to seek out the best kind of lightweight, full frame analog camera that I could that I could find. Let me just talk you through this camera. Let's take the strap off 1 second. So this is the Voigtlander Bessa L. There's different versions. There's the Bessa L, well, there's probably lots of versions, but the common ones are Bessa L, Bessa T, Bessa R, Bessa R2, R3, R4. The reason I bought this camera, which is not even a planned purchase, was because of my previous camera which I bought, which I have here. So you're probably getting bored of the things I say in each video. This is my favourite camera, and then new video. This is my favourite camera. This is my favourite camera from the last video that I was talking about cameras. This is a 1939 Leica 3A. Both cameras are reasonably similar size. The Voigtlander is a bit larger than the Barnack Leica 1930s Leica. I'll take the lens cap off. So Leica 3A was my favourite camera, so why did I then buy what some people might think of as a cheap and plasticky Voigtlander? This camera, I think the Leica is 430 grams versus 380 grams, so it's getting lighter all the time. Now, if you buy a Voigtlander body only, you may pay £300. I found the Bessa L with the 50mm Voigtlander lens attached for, I think, slightly more than £300. I can't remember off the top of my head. So what is so special about this camera, and why does it differ from this camera? Okay, so the Leica has got a 35mm finder on the top because it's got a 35mm lens attached. This is another video I need to make. This is talking about the LTM lenses. This is a new lens I've not shown you before, but I'll try and save that for a separate video. The Leica 3 camera, Leica 3A, has a built-in rangefinder and a built-in viewfinder. So I don't need this on the top if I'm using a 50mm lens. because I'm using a 50mm lens, I've got the external hot shoe. So built-in rangefinder, built-in viewfinder. Like you'd think, like a normal rangefinder you'd probably think. So that's a Leica 3A. Now, take this off for a second. This is a Voigtlander Bessa L. The Voigtlander Bessa L has the LTM or L39 or Leica screw mount, lens mount. This means I can use all my thread mount lenses which I use on the Leica 3 cameras on this camera. Why is that good? One, because this is the lightest body I own. So if I put lightweight, high quality LTM lenses on this body, it can give me the smallest possible setup. This lens that comes with the camera, which is the Voigtlander Super Wide Heliar 15mm f4.5 lens, is an awesome lens in itself. So I'll come on to that in 1 second. So now if you look at the camera for 1 minute, take this book off. So amazing, beautiful little lens. Okay. Now if you look at the camera without the distraction of lenses and hot shoe attachments, what do you notice? Now if you've got a keen eye, you may notice there's no viewfinder and there's no rangefinder. So you're like, well, what a rubbish camera that is. That might be true if you want to shoot maybe 50mm lenses or 135mm, 90mm long lenses. But once you put a wide lens on, there's such a great depth of field that this becomes a super lightweight point and shoot portable camera. So when you buy the camera, it has no rangefinder, no viewfinder. Now what's probably worth mentioning is when you buy Voigtlander LTM lenses, they nearly always, and M mount lenses, Voigtlander Leica M mount lenses, they normally come with their own viewfinder. So what I mean by that is, let's screw that back on. This is a 50mm lens. So Voigtlander supply, when it was new, a 50mm viewfinder. So now with the 50mm viewfinder attached to the top of the camera, I can compose, accurately compose photos using this lens. 50mm lens, 50mm viewfinder. In terms of how easy is it to get the image in focus, to give you some kind of idea of how amazing this lens is. If I shoot at, just give you an example. If I shoot at f8 on a Voigtlander Bessa L, and I set the hyperfocal distance to 0.9 meters, everything from half a meter to infinity is in focus. So if you can imagine half a meter to infinity, that's pretty much everything all the time. So you can leave it on that, kind of set it, forget it, and then you're good to go all day, as long as you've got fast enough film speed to shoot at f8. You can shoot all day and not even have to focus. Obviously, if you need to focus and you want to shoot at f4.5, even at 4.5, if you set it to, again, set it to 1 meter, you've got 0.6 meters to 2.2 meters in focus at f4.5 aperture. So it's brilliant. I really love it. I took it to London on Saturday to test both the camera and to test 2 new film stocks. I'll cut away and show you a photo from the train home. I was testing 35mm Kentmere 400 film versus Ilford Pan 400 film. Both 35mm films, both black and white. I bought 1 pack of each film because I wanted to see how each compared. This is a good camera to kind of test the film with, because it was less about the lens and more about the film, because if everything's in focus, it's not so much about getting blurry backgrounds or nice bokeh or whatever. It's literally try and get a strong composition in camera, and then the film's going to do the rest in terms of whether it's pleasing rendering or grain structure or how much latitude the film has. So I'll do a separate review on the film stocks again, so I don't make this even longer. But all the photos shot in that review were shot with this camera, and I got to London at 9 AM, no, before 8:30, and I shot this all day until 4:30 when I got my train home. I was also testing two Voigtlander folding cameras, which are 6x6 folders called Voigtlander Perkio cameras. I've got a Perkio 1 and a Perkio 2, slightly off topic. What I'm trying to get to is, once your eye gets used to a 50mm composition, when you then try and shoot like a 50mm equivalent composition, it's really difficult, because you're like, but I want to get that bit in the photo and I want to get that bit in the photo. And I really struggled going from, I got so comfortable using a wide frame that I really struggled to then use the medium format cameras. And I was like, I wish these medium format cameras had like a wide angle lens like this. It'd be so much better. So it's a bit of a side note, but it just shows how much I really got into this lens and the camera itself. I was using the camera on the wrist strap like this, and it was light enough to have it in my pocket when I was walking, bring it out. And it's the first time, I think, as long as I can remember doing pictures, I had this camera and I could instantly react to things. There's some kids, it's a slight lie. I'll just backtrack a little bit. I wanted to visualize the 50mm lens, so I also took the same lens, an M mount Voigtlander Super Wide Heliar 15mm f4.5 lens on a Leica M240 digital camera. I was using the digital camera first in the morning to get more of an idea of the perspective that the 50mm gives you. And then once I saw something nice, I was like, right, see how it looks on digital, shoot the proper image on film. And I was swapping between digital and film. And for more instantaneous pictures, I wasn't quite comfortable yet in terms of wasting film, that I might miss a shot. So I was using digital for instant shots. So it's pretty much identical setup, same lens, same everything. Obviously it's just digital instead of film. But what I found was, with a 50mm lens, I could react instantly to street pictures, which I've never been able to do before. I'm not a street photographer, and I'm not claiming I ever will be, but just things were happening. Being busy, central London on a Saturday, it was rammed. But that was good in a way, because you kind of have cover of other people, so you can take pictures and not feel so obvious or so uncomfortable. And like, things would just come out of the crowd and you could just go straight away. And I don't know, maybe it's kind of how the famous photographers of yesteryear could react to every image with their 50mm or 35mm. But it's the first time I could literally just go bang and get the shot. And as an example, there's some kids cycling down the street, some like hooligans, young kids on mountain bikes coming down like the main middle of the road in the central, I think it was Regent Street, pulling massive wheelies going down the road, just basically causing chaos and stopping the traffic. And because I had this lens on, I could just literally just pull it up, bang, and I didn't even have to look. I could just shoot it from kind of waist height or whatever, and I got the shot. And if I can find the digital image, I'll include it. Can't promise it will, but maybe here if I have. I'm not saying it's a special image, I'm just saying with this lens you can shoot instantly and not have to think. Another brilliant thing about this lens that comes with the Voigtlander Bessa L, it focuses to 0.3 meters. So that means even on a 15mm lens, full frame obviously being film, you can get depth of field in terms of you can separate your foreground from your background if you get in close. And I even managed to do a portrait at 0.3 meters without the guy even noticing, who was using a Rolleiflex. I saw the camera and I was like, I need to get a photo of this cool dude with the camera. So I went up to him and I got literally, obviously 30 centimeters, whatever that is, maybe this, from him without even noticing, because he was down on the, focusing his own picture. And I took the shot and then I said, hey, nice camera, blah, blah, blah. Got talking, and then before we parted, I said, can I take your picture again? I took a picture again, and this one I'll embed so you can see it here. So that's a square crop of a 50mm lens, full frame portrait at 0.3 meters in the street of someone I've never even met before. So it is wide, but it also does let you do like slightly distorted, but in a way kind of slightly more interesting portraits for me. I found it more interesting, so it may not suit my beauty shot style female photography, but for stuff that's kind of more interesting, I'm definitely going to use this camera again for film portraits with a wide angle lens in the street. I just need to find some more interesting people. So what can I tell you about this camera? I'll try and quickly go through the features. So it's got a film advance, like an M camera, compared to the advanced knob of a Leica 3. Just to show you again. Advanced lever, advanced knob, film rewind lever. Like, if I can pop it up, like so. Like an M6, film rewind knob like a M3. So I'll show you that. So do you want to hear how it sounds? It's got quite a unique sound. So film advance crank to stop you from accidentally taking pictures. The advanced lever needs to be a little bit off to allow you to take a picture. If it's totally pushed in, it locks it, so it's not a very good example. That will allow you to take a picture, that won't. So it's good, saves you wasting film. So I like this feature. Now this camera has got a light meter on the back, a center weighted light meter. Again, lovely to have. It means if I'm, again, running or wanting to travel super light, unlike the Leica 3 where I would carry, potentially if the light's changing, Leica 3 camera in this pocket with my 2-pocket running vest, Leica 3 camera and a small lens, light meter and probably mobile phone. I can now just carry this with small lens and no light meter because it's built into the camera. So pluses so far for some of the reasons why I love the Voigtlander Bessa L. Film advance lever and film rewind crank, both of which make the camera faster to use. Shutter button lock, meaning if it's pushed in, you can't take your shot. So again, it's good, stops you wasting film. It's got a flash sync speed of 1/125, which is better than all Leica M cameras, because Leica M cameras are 1/50. So I like flash, so at some point that might be useful for me. Maximum shutter speed of 1/2000. It's unlikely that I'm going to use super fast lenses on this to get the shallow depth of field because I can't focus it accurately. But if I did, I can shoot at 1/2000th rather instead of 1/1000th of a second of a Leica M camera. So it means you don't need ND filters if you've got fast lenses. I say not really an issue. It's got threaded shutter button for cable release if you want to do long exposures. Come on to that in a second. You set your ISO under the rewind knob, and then obviously that works with a center weighted light meter. This doesn't come on the camera, that depends. You put the viewfinder on if you want to use one depending on what lens you're using. Personally, I'm probably going to use it with a 50mm, 25mm, 35mm. They normally recommend up to 35mm for this camera because of the scale focusing, the depth of field. On the back of the camera, or on the end, you've got PC sync ports, again for flash. Again, most Leicas don't have that, or they don't have that easily accessible. Some of them have the ports on the back. The Leica 3A doesn't have anything. Many have ports where with an adapter or directly you can use a PC sync cable. But annoyingly it comes out right where your eyeball is, and so it kind of sticks in your face. So not ideal. It's got a hot shoe, not a cold shoe, meaning I can put a speed light on the top. Again, probably, well, you could be like one of these like successful street photographers of yesteryear, where you set your camera to, for argument's sake, f8. You hit the streets of London or New York or wherever you live. Put a flash on the top, small flash, ideally I would for me. f8 with flash, and then you can just literally run up to people and just go and take photos, and the flash will illuminate them when the weather's not giving you enough light for f8, for example. And you could put it, I might try that. You might, maybe not so much for like sticking it in people's faces just to upset them, because it's not really my nature. But I might try it from a creative angle, maybe with a model or somebody that I know, and see what look I can get out of it. So yeah, I'll add that to my personal to-do list. So hot shoe, good. Again, Leica 3 cameras like the Bionic Leicas, Leica M2, Leica M3. If you've not seen that review, I'll link it above somewhere. They have cold shoes, not hot shoes. Leica M6 and Leica M4P, the later Leicas, they do have hot shoes, so it's just the same. The main difference is, what's annoying for me, a 1/50, if you're using a mix of daylight and flash, the shutter's too slow to sometimes freeze enough motion and to use a bit of flash. So what you end up with is a blurry image if the subject is moving. With 1/125, you've got a bit more freezing power to freeze the action and use flash, so better for me. Now, on the back of the camera, you've got, to open the camera, lift up the film rewind, I think. So to open the back of the camera, lift up, pops open like that. Now again, much easier to load than any Leica M camera, Leica 3 camera especially. Leica 3 cameras are base loading only. Again, I can link a video if you want. Leica M3 loading, maybe this, Leica M2 the same. Leica M6 loading, you'll probably find it via the other videos. Leica M2, M3 are, let me think, Leica 3 cameras are bottom loading only, so there's no door. So you just open the base and stick the film in here. Leica M2, Leica M3 and M cameras, the back door opens that way. So you load the film that way, see what you're doing, shut the door, done. This is like an SLR camera. It doesn't really get any easier. So put your film in, pull across, job done, ready to go. Obviously tripod, it takes batteries for the light meter, but you can use the camera without, and it has got a self-timer, which may be useful if you're doing self-timed photos. No, if you're doing long exposure shots. Now, even with 10 years of pictures and being quite close to the kind of the rangefinder cameras part of the camera world, I know more about rangefinder cameras potentially than, say, SLR cameras, especially Leicas, but Voigtlanders are close to Leicas, so I would have thought I would have heard of this camera. Maybe I did. My brain is quite small. My memory is even smaller, because as fast as I take in new information, all the old stuff's going out the other ear, so I'm like a fish. So maybe I did know, maybe I didn't, but I don't remember ever seeing this camera. The camera that I do know more about and I'm much more aware of is this camera. This is a Voigtlander Bessa R3A. What's the difference? Just very quickly, because it's supposed to be about this, not this. This is a Leica M mount lens. This is a Leica M mount camera. It has a built-in rangefinder, built-in viewfinder. Now I do a proper blog post about this camera with photos, and I might do some quick comparisons of a list of the specs and also how it compares to, say, the more popular probably Voigtlander Bessa R3A. Quick size difference. This is also lighter than a Leica M camera, which is why I like it. The rangefinders can get knocked out of whack or out of alignment quite easily. So when I found a Voigtlander that has no rangefinder, I'm like, amazing. That means you can't really break it in that aspect. I'm sure you can break other things. So I was like, brilliant. It's more bomb-proof than this because I don't have to worry about the rangefinder going out of alignment. I just don't have one. Now, most normal people would argue, well, why don't you just use this and use the built-in viewfinder and ignore the fact that it's got a rangefinder, and then it's the same with the built-in viewfinder. It's a good argument. My excuse for buying this camera is I wanted like a thread mount lenses on the camera I was looking to get. This is lighter than this, which is another reason. And so I could have used L mount lens, like thread mount lenses via an adapter on this, but this is lighter. So if say my holy grail for running cameras is as light as possible with interchangeable lenses, this wins because it's lighter. And if you price up the price of this lens with viewfinder, these viewfinders, Voigtlander viewfinders, are still expensive on their own. If you price up the lens and the viewfinder, you're pretty much being given the camera for free. So I was like, kind of, I couldn't really say no. And it's a film camera. Film cameras are last in terms of they're not going to go out of date. Potentially they're just going to get more expensive as demand increases and production is obviously stopped. So I just wanted to point out, Leica 3A, much more popular. This doesn't have wide angle frame lines. It only goes from 40 to 90 millimeters. So for this lens, if I wanted to use this lens on this camera, I'd need to use a Leica M mount to Leica thread mount adapter, and I'd need to use the hot shoe viewfinder on this camera. So when you add them up, it's bigger and it's slightly heavier. But otherwise, if you've already got one of these cameras and you don't, well, basically if you've got any rangefinder and you don't care about weight, the 50mm lens is what I really love in particular about this setup. So you could just buy depending on which body you've got, you could buy an M mount Voigtlander Super Wide Heliar 15mm, or you could buy the Leica LTM mount. Just say Leica. Voigtlander Leica MT. Voigtlander LTM version of the lens and use it on a LTM camera. So like I might use this lens on my Leica 3, for example. So I'm using multiple film bodies, one with colour film, one with black and white film. I can switch this lens between bodies and it'd work in exactly the same way on a Leica 3 with viewfinder versus a Voigtlander with viewfinder. The only difference is the weight and the light meter and speed of use, but blah, blah, blah. In basic terms, if you only want one camera, you could buy this lens and put it on an LTM body camera or like an M body camera and have the same amount of fun of using a wide angle lens. That's what I was trying to get to. But for me personally, I'm always seeking to find the best camera for my situation, my needs at this time. Next week it might be a medium format, The week after might be large format. This is a bit annoying because you end up with more cameras than you potentially need, but maybe one day if I need to eat, I can just sell cameras, and if I can't afford to buy dinner, I'll just sell a camera and buy my food for the week that way. So very quickly to recap, like Voigtlander Bessa L, interchangeable 35mm film camera. Absolutely love it. 50mm is not going to suit every situation I'm working in, and it's definitely not going to suit my female model portraits. But for my kind of, if you're planning to go travelling, or you're a hiker or something like this, you're skiing or I don't know, and you absolutely must shoot film versus your iPhone because you prefer film like me, I would maybe in terms of batteries, I'll just show you. On the bottom, it's threaded. So it takes 2 coin batteries, or one of the larger versions, which is basically the equivalent of 2 coin batteries added together. So yeah, made in Japan. It's worth probably pointing out, it says Voigtlander on the front. It's not the original Voigtlanders, such as the Pirkio cameras I've just bought. They were made in the 1950s when Voigtlander was Voigtlander. This is Voigtlander Cosina, which is made in Japan. Don't know if you can see that. So it is Cosina rather than Voigtlander. Cosina do tend to make lighter, more plasticky cameras, which most people will probably think of as crap. But for my needs, I really like it, and it doesn't break the bank either. So, Voigtlander Bessa L, 35mm film camera, absolutely love it. I'll link a review to this post once I have more example images on the blog, and I'll link it back. I've got so many videos I need to do, but I've been developing film or shooting cameras to test cameras to then check the results for myself, but also I thought it'd be interesting to share the images. So I've got Leica LTM. I've got an LTM lens video to come. I've got Kentmere 400 versus Ilford Pan 400. I've got Pirkio 1 versus Pirkio 2 Voigtlander camera shootout, because they've got different lenses. One's much cheaper than the other. So I was like, well, let's see what they can do for my own interest as much as anything else. And then I've got all the videos that I've backlogged before I bought these cameras and got sidetracked and made this instead of something else. So I've still got photo shoots on Budapest to post. I've still got CineStill 50D versus CineStill 800T to post. I've still got various lighting videos to post. I just need more time. I'd make one every day if I had time, but sadly I can't at the moment. But maybe one day I'll be doing more. Maybe 1 week, if I have quite a week, 1 week I might try and do 1 video per day for 7 days. But don't hold me to that, because I struggle to do the amount I'm doing at the moment. Okay, sorry for waffling and going off topic. I was excited to show you this camera in case you're in the market for a wide-angle lens, lightweight, reasonably cheap version, cheaper equivalent of a Leica. Very much fun to use film camera. Okay, I'll shut up. Thanks for watching.